Okay, so do we know how many people had actually registered, or are we gonna?
Yeah, it was close to 60, but there was a
Okay,
couple who wrote to me late to say that they weren't going to be able to make it after all. So I
okay.
think we
Well,
can assume,
hopefully,
yeah,
hopefully more people will join as we get going. We've got quite a heavy duty tonight, so we'll get started. First, I would like to welcome all of the presidents and the president-elects. Of course, and we do have our AGs and some others with us as well. But this is really all about the presidents and the president-elects about to step into that president role. And, I think we just really wanted to get together and go over the year. And there's still a few weeks left to do some housekeeping. So, of course, Keith Dinwoody, the district trainer for this year, is with us tonight too. And we also have a couple of people working on the tech with Jan Gisborne and Marianne. I don't think I've missed anyone.
no,
So let us begin on the kind of agenda that we had was a district update. Really, what I really wanted to do tonight, though. Oh, we got housekeeping first. Keith, you want to do that?
yeah, just a few comments. Most people are probably familiar with these by now, but you are or should be muted, and please stay muted unless you're invited to speak. You can use the chat feature to ask questions when others are speaking if you wish, and you can raise your hand by the raise your hand reaction button if you can, please, or wave it, and one of our wonderful ladies will try and find your face and tell us that you are trying to get our attention. We are recording the session, so it will be available for all those people who couldn't make it tonight and for those who did make it tonight to be able to review after the fact as well. All right, and that should be it for the housekeeping. So there's the topics. There you go.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. See, I was so excited. I just want to dive right in and get to her. So district update, I believe we are still leading the zone in membership, and we are blowing everyone out of the water. The last time Lauren gave us an update on the foundation. So congratulations to all of the clubs and Rotarians throughout the district that have been giving to the foundation so generously this year. And because of course we know 3 years from now, our clubs are going to benefit from that money coming back to us so that we can use it on our projects. So the real focus for me is on for membership. And that's because that was Dave's focus for the rest of the year. And some of you, I've attended your meetings with your AGs. I haven't been able to get out to all of them because I kind of only started it about 6 weeks ago. But anyways, I don't think that I mentioned this at our last forum, but the really big thing for us right now is retention, because traditionally we have this fall off at the end of June. But Dave didn't want to be traditional in a lot of ways. He wanted us to be revolutionary. And so I'm asking all of the clubs, all of the current presidents and members to let's really focus on the retention and not having that drop off in June that we have. I think a couple of the things that Dave talked about when it was probably at least a couple of months. Well, it was longer than a couple of months ago now because she's unfortunately been gone that long. But one of the big things that he asked me, we had quite a conversation about it. And he said, what I'd really like for the clubs to do is take a look at all of their members. And if you've got people sitting on the fence, and I think we probably do with COVID, people who maybe couldn't get their heads wrapped around the whole online meetings and those sorts of things. So if they're sitting on the fence, what's it going to take to have them jump off on the right side of the fence, on the club side, so we don't lose them? I think we can see that light at the end of the tunnel where we're not going to have to be where we can meet in person, and maybe we can actually have hybrid and do both. But what's it going to take to really engage those members that aren't engaged right now? So I think that's the big message that I wanted to make sure really got out to everybody. so that we can, as I think Shirley Pat said during the conference, during the membership awards, buck the system, and the traditions, and let's just make our own, because that's what change is all about, and that's what Rotary is certainly about these days, is doing things differently. So let's do that one different and keep those numbers up, because that only benefits all of us. We can do projects, we can do more projects, we can do more. It's just simple as that. We can do more when there's more hands. So next up is the conference. Well, that's a wrap. And it was a lot of fun. I don't know about all you guys, but I had a lot of fun. And thanks to Kevin Evans for really pointing that out when some of us were, having a look at readagraphs and all these things on how teleprompters and trying to be savvy behind the camera. But he pointed out that the most important thing is for us to have fun. And I believe Kevin might be here tonight too, because he is president of his club this year. But that was amazing insight on his part, because of course he knows all about this stuff. And I took it to heart and had fun. So I'm really hoping that everyone else did as well. I think we did Dave proud. And I was so glad that I was able to get the information out of him about his the district governor awards. Although he never forewarned me that I was getting one. I was quite surprised by that one. But I was really glad that we were able to get those names out of him, because it was like pulling teeth sometimes with him. He kept some cards close to his chest there. So I actually met with the Rotarian of the Year, which of course is done by people putting in applications, and the committee, and the sitting district governor is usually not part of that committee as far as voting. I did meet with John Bathurst on Monday and personally gave him his Rotarian of the Year hardware. So he was quite pleased with that. So that was nice to do. And of course, I'd like to point out that generally we try to get everyone signed up for the next conference at this one. And I don't think they're quite ready to take reservations yet, but please keep your eye on your emails. I'm sure Andrea will send out that notification as soon as it comes in and they're able to, and sign up, because guess what? We're going to be in person. In Prince George. So beautiful part of our province. And I think it'll be nice to actually get out there and celebrate in person. So reports on the strategic plans and progress. We do have with us tonight. Is he with us?
He certainly is.
Oh, great. I just see Lauren put in the chat, Northern Hospitality. Absolutely. And Northern Hospitality is very nice. So looking forward to going to Prince George. So John Bathurst is with us. And of course, he's chairing the Strategic Planning Committee. And we know that there's quite a few clubs around that have been getting their strategic planning in place with this new system, this online system. So John's going to talk about it a little bit, but I think what we really, really want is for some of the presidents of clubs that have taken it to tell us about your experience. So I'll give it to you first, John, and then maybe you can call on some of those clubs.
Sure.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot, Darcy. And again, it was great to see you yesterday, and thank you so much for presenting the hardware, so to speak. I still am extremely surprised and honored with the award. So, but thanks to everybody I've worked with that has helped me to make the contribution that I have. And part of that is really the Strategic Planning Committee. Like everything else in Rotary, you don't do things alone. We've had a core committee that's really been working with us, and core to that, of course, is Bala, who he maybe doesn't figuratively have a stick in your back, but he certainly keeps you moving forward with this. But we've had people like President-elect. I'm not sure if Ed Kwan is on the line. He's been a really great contributor to what we've been able to put together, Danis and Juan. And I can't forget Murray Wood, who came on laterally to try and help us with some of the Zoom materials, but ended up being a facilitator, and we worked together on one of them. Nancy Eidsvik, of course, I don't know, just you turn on a committee and Nancy seems to be there and contributing, so it was great. And of course, Peter Rofe really helped with a significant part of this, which is the survey. Just a very quick overview. We were trying to get ready to go to clubs to be able to help with strategic planning, much like Don Evans did when he went to visit the clubs. But of course, COVID got in the way, and so we had to kind of remuster and try and figure out how to do it in the Zoom world, which took us a little bit longer to get it up and running. So we did a couple of cases, models, if you will, but we got the first ones launched, and Bala and Dannison dived in at the deep end with the Mountain View Club, and they got their plan done in about 3 to 4 weeks. We did get an in-person with Ladner Club back, about a year ago, and Peter Rofe, being the super organized guy he is, had a lot of information for us, and it helped us evolve the planning process. Myself and Murray, we worked in the Steveston Club, and we've completed that one. Ones that are in progress, and I'm not sure where Prince George is. Maybe if Ed Kwan, if you're on the line, maybe you can update us. Other ones in progress is Vancouver, Tsawwassen, Burnaby Metro Town, and so we've tried to put a team together, and so we're a little bit of team bound, if you will, and trying to respond to all of it. But I don't know if maybe Gloria or Matt Caparas is there from Mountain View. Maybe they can give you a brief insight as to how they felt it went. Are either of you there?
I'm here. It was my first strategic planning session, and it got easier the more we got into it. The first meeting, obviously, it was what are we doing here, but then as we got on, as we started to write things down, it started to get a little bit clearer, and by the end of the fourth session, when I got the typed up report, so I'm always looking at it now just to make sure that I'm following what's on the paper, or where we're doing what's on the paper. So it got a little bit easier, and we'll probably be better next time. So
set you up for success there, Matt, and you guys were very good in contributing to it. Thank you. I don't know, is Sean or Trevor from Steveston available?
I'm here. Trevor's here. I haven't seen whether Sean's here or not, but I found it quite a tremendous learning process. And I have to say, John, you did a great job facilitating it, way better than when we tried to do it on our own. And I found it quite rewarding. I don't know what else to say. We'll try and follow through. We have a lot of really dedicated Rotarians in our little club. And that's about it.
Yeah, no, thanks. And I think one of the things you touched on is getting the participation and getting people to talk and come together to create that sort of common vision and feeling of what we're doing in the club. And that was all very good. I guess in Ladner, Peter, I always felt with Ladner and the amount of work that Peter does that we were a bit of an add-on to that, but I think we did, being external to the club, maybe help some of the discussion. Is Peter on the call?
Yes, I am, John. So it was just about a year ago, about June of last year, almost to the day. And thank you to you and Bala and Doug helped out, and for helping us get updating our strategic plan, which we're about to do next Monday. One of the great things in organizing this with you was to be able to line up finally all our key performance indicators on Rotary Club Central. We'd been going along and kind of shadowing that in the past, but we were actually linked to that, and that made a big difference. And I hope to keep doing that as we move forward.
Yeah, and I've got to thank you for your contribution to helping handle the survey for each of the clubs, because that's, I think, is maybe just a quick overview. We what we've done in this process is prepared kind of pro forma documents to kind of frame it so that other people can come in and help. I think, as has already been alluded to here, is that the good part is when you're doing your planning, if you can get someone externally to come in, that kind of helps have, what shall I say, Switzerland help negotiate some of the topics that maybe are hotly debated in your club. Just in final, if Ed is on the phone, I'm not sure who from Prince George. That one was well underway, and I don't know whether they've completed that with Judy Mason. Ed, are you on the call?
Yeah, John, I'm on. Yeah, the process with Prince George is going well. We followed the process, did the survey, had a pretty good response. First set 90-minute session, they revised their mission and values. Their vision stayed the same. Some really good discussion, so we didn't get a chance to look at the SWOT too much, but in the second session we made up a bit of time, and we just had the second session last night, and they identified their, I believe it was 6 strategic focus areas, and identified their KPIs, and I think had a draft of many of the targets for this coming year. So hopefully that'll be a big help for Rod to get his goals set up in Rotary Club Central this year. And yeah, so then we've got a planning session scheduled for next Monday night, which really will then get into what are the action plans more specifically that will help drive the results that they're putting forward. So yeah, making good progress, kind of as planned, the way we hoped the planning session would unfold. So it's been great.
Good. Yeah. Thanks, Ed. I sort of bypassed that because I'm not familiar with who the leadership is in Prince George, so I didn't mean to cut you out. So if there's anybody from President-elect or President of Prince George, if you wanted to add to that.
My name is Rod Holmes. I'm President-elect. It's very enjoyable. To be honest with you, when I first heard that we were going to be blessed with this, I was wondering, but it's been very helpful, I have to admit. It's actually defining what the target should be, what the club's interest in, is not just one person's interest, but the entire club. Lots of feedback, lots of activity, lots of participation. So it's going well, very well.
Good. Thanks, Rod. And now I know who's in charge at Prince George. Sorry to bypass you there initially.
That's Lauren.
Anyway,
Hi there. My name is Kathy Carlson. I'm the president-elect for the Nechako Rotary in Prince George. And we are actually going to be doing our strategic planning on the 26th. So coming up soon.
Great. Is Judy helping you with that?
No, that'll be Kelly and Kelly Zamet.
Mhm.
And one of our other, yeah.
Okay, super. I'll make a note to reach out to Kelly there.
Thanks.
Yeah, so I think the thing here is that we do have people who have kind of got themselves familiar with the style and the format of what we're trying to do. And as you can hear, what we're really trying to do is help the planning and the clubs align with the KPIs at the end of the day, so that as you go through the process, it's not just leaving you off at a high level, which is very difficult to be relevant as you go through the year. We want to try and make it granular towards the end after you've discussed the raison d'etre for what you're doing. So that's a brief overview, and I'm not going to get into all the sort of the processes and the documents, but that's kind of where we're at. And if you want to get people involved through what we're organizing, we do have a list of people that we've tried to make more familiar with the material. But if you just like the material and you've got someone external who wants to do it in the format we've done, let me know.
Good.
Okay.
Well, thank you, John. And we're gonna have some time at the end for questions. So please, if you want to know more, then get your questions already, and we'll go through them. But I think like John said, the important thing is this is up, it's working, clubs are doing it, and it's exciting. So if you think that your club is ready for it, then get a hold of John, and he can get you on the schedule. Another one that exciting thing that's happening out in the clubs right now is the peace conversations. Of course, we had one at the conference. We've had 2 cohorts go through and get trained by Mediators Beyond Borders, and now they're honing their skills at the club level. And so, John, you're here, you're pinned, you're right up there. So I'm going to just pass it over to you to give kind of an overview, and same thing. If you can call on some of the clubs that have had this, and we can hear feedback from them, that'd be great. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Darcy. If you look behind Darcy's shoulder, you'll see Peace Builder District there. And that's what this is all about. We are a Peace Builder District here in District 5040. And DG Dave did want to have, as part of his legacy, to really develop that concept of the district being a peace builder. You cannot be a peace builder district unless you have peace building clubs. And so this is what we've really been doing. We've, through Mediators Beyond Borders International, we have trained some 40 to 50 facilitators. They've taken a series of training with MBBI and are now going through coaching lessons as well. And this has been really an exciting part of the program, that these people have taken it and now they're doing their practicum, which is going into the clubs and doing their 21 hours of service in the clubs, because in order to get certificated, you need to have those 21 hours. And that's what they're doing around the district. We have now met with, I think it's 16 clubs. The 17th one is tomorrow in Prince George. We have held peace conversations with these clubs, taken over their meetings for a day, for a week at a time, or a day at a time, because it does take 45 minutes to an hour to hold one of these peace conversations. And probably when we do the survey at the end, the biggest concern people have is there wasn't enough time. And we know that as we do this, because it really does take a fair bit of time to get this conversation going. But the question is, what is a peace conversation? And a peace conversation is a facilitated small group, I'm reading here now, facilitated small group discussion specifically designed for Rotarians and community members to discuss a variety of topics, often difficult ones. It's an opportunity to listen to one another, take the time to share our own views in order to build awareness and understanding, better relationships, and community based on values of positive peace. So as you saw on Saturday, those of you that were at the conference, there are a number of ground rules for these peace conversations. It's really not a matter of just giving your opinion or coming up with the right answer. This is a time to be listening to others, to allowing others to speak. And by going into breakout sessions, we're able to give an opportunity for all the members of the club to actually speak for a minute, at least on a topic, and to be heard by their fellow members. And for some, this has been a new experience of actually speaking up at club meetings, because everybody is asked to speak at this time. But we've got both the facilitators working and we've got the clubs doing it. And I'd like to sort of go through and invite some of, maybe for the facilitators first. Ardith, are you on the call? So I think I saw your name in the list.
Yes, I am, John.
Maybe you'd like to say something about your experience in going out to the clubs, because you've gone out as a facilitator, a table facilitator, into several clubs.
Yes, I have, and it's really been an interesting experience, because one of the things I think one of my experiences before I did the training with MBBI was in facilitating groups. I did a lot more talking then, and one of the things we learned in the maybe training was that a lot of this is about listening. and ensuring that everybody has an opportunity to speak. And each club has a personality of its own, and it's been very interesting. They have an opportunity to choose the topic that they wish to have their breakout session on, and often what happens is someone will start out in the breakout session and not choose to speak, and then by the end of the breakout session they're feeling much more comfortable speaking, and it's always nice to see that. I've just been really impressed with the process, and obviously what we look to down the road, I think, is getting to a point where Rotary will be recognized as a peace builder and be able to work at the community level, perhaps in situations where there are groups in conflict that just need a Switzerland at the table.
Thanks,
so that's
Ada.
my experience.
Thanks a lot. Well, one of the things we say during these meetings is we hope that this is a process, and we're only at the beginning of that process. This is not going to end, didn't end at the conference. It's going to go on. As I said, there's a meeting tomorrow in Prince George. We've got another one in Prince George downtown, I think it is, later in the month. And we've got others going on next month and through the summer as well. But what we're hoping as we get through this and we get clubs used to leading these facilitations and facilitated meetings and conversations, that it would be wonderful if the mayor or the planner of a community came to the president of a Rotary Club and said, we have an issue on something to do with how we use our sports fields in the community, for instance. And you guys are experienced at having difficult conversations. We'd like you to run one for our community. And that's where we're hoping to be. That's going to take us a while to get there. We have been asked by some outside groups to actually help them with some conversations, and we will do that as part of practice with MBBI helping us and leading us in doing that. So well, that's sort of where we're going to go. But let's hear from some of the people that have actually gone through. And John Berry, are you on the line? Because you did one last week.
Yes, I'm on the line, and thank you very much. You were at our club, and I thought that went very well, and I can certainly echo what you said about running out of time.
Yeah. It was certainly, it was a rush time. Carlos, we did one at your club as well, in Vancouver Sunrise.
Correct. Yeah, and it went really well. Although I find with the session that I also did myself in another club is that the name of the program confuses people. By calling it peace conversations, it's like, okay, well, what are you here to solve, like a conflict? Well, and so one of the things that I found useful is immediately after I go into a breakout room, I said, look, this is not necessarily peace, meaning that we gotta fix a fight here, but meaning that these are more deep, more profound conversations within the club. But it's been a great process, and what I found is each time has been different. On the training, it was very similar every time, but in the real world, I find that it's different. So it's definitely good to get practice, and I think it's wonderful for clubs because you do get into conversations that normally don't come up on topics that usually don't get discussed, or at least not in depth.
There are a couple of people that put some comments. Thanks, Carlos. A couple of people have put some comments in the chat, and maybe Peter, if you've got something that you'd like to say on your peace conversation.
Yeah, I just wrote in the chat that our first topic, we strayed away from the recommended topics and went with diversity, equity, and inclusion because not too long prior to that, we'd had in our club session with Valerie Wafer, who's our international Rotary director, leading the DEI program for Rotary International. So follow on from that. But I think in final analysis, it was a rather large topic, especially for a first time session. So I was suggesting that maybe one of those three topics might have been appropriate for the time available rather than all three. So just some advice to kind of keep it narrower enough that you can get through it rather than get sort of bogged down with too many elements to it.
Thanks, Peter. And just to follow on from that, we've given topics that are not quite as controversial to start with, because your club chose that one because you had done a session with it with Valerie and wanted to continue on with that. And we wanted to honor that in your club. Carlos's club also they wanted to talk about their foundation and what they could do with their foundation. So they had a very specific topic. But most of the other clubs have chosen topics that we have suggested. And these are not as controversial as maybe they could have been, but it gives us a chance to get into the process, is where we were going. Laureen, you had a one with your club, which was one of the larger ones we've had. You're muted, Laureen. You're muted.
Thank you, Keith. Yes, we had an excellent experience. I got lots of feedback from the group. And John, you're exactly right. People wish they had more time to share the input from, I think we had 6 breakout rooms. And that's what people were sharing with me. We wish we had more time to hear what the other groups had to say. So it was very, people had a great response, John, really. And I suggest that probably Greg might pick a time to do another peace conference in his upcoming year. It was a great experience.
Thank you. We're being asked back by some clubs for a second conference already, but there's only 16 clubs have done it. So if you haven't done one in your club, we would love to hear from you. Please let me know, or let Gloria Stott know that you're interested in doing it, and we'll take it from there with you and build this. So I think that where do we go from here is the point. And we've got a meeting being set up with the district governor team and some club presidents to look at what the future will hold for this. Because if this is going to be part of Dave's legacy, as he wants it to be, if we're going to make this into something that really honors us as the peace building district, we need to have some guidelines going forward. And so we will be looking at the roadmap going forward. We will have a plan. We will put that out to the district so that you'll know where this fits into that whole district strategic planning for the year to come and the many years to come, I hope, as we start to do this. And then I hope clubs will just take it over for themselves, so that it won't be a district-driven thing, it'll be a club-driven thing. So any questions from anybody?
There was one question in the chat that was interesting, John, from Chris Wolf and Gibson's. Have the peace facilitators handled any really difficult issues yet?
No, not as yet. I think that, as Peter said, you've sort of, because it's new, we're trying to get into something that allows people to get into that conversation and try the process. But this will come, and I'm quite sure that this will come. We have been asked to do one from an outside group that could be quite challenging for us, but MBBI has agreed to help us with that. I think Greg Muirhead has a question. Greg?
Sorry, just trying to figure out how to unmute myself. Thanks, John. Some of the things that I've really enjoyed any of the peace conversations that I've been at, and most of the meetings I've been at have been talking about Indigenous issues and problems that the Indigenous people are facing. I'm curious whether or not the peace conversation will look at some of the Asian hate issues that I'm experiencing here in Tsawwassen.
One of the conversation topics is on racism and on hate speech. We didn't put that out to clubs for the first session because we thought would have got us into hot water before we had learned to swim, and we thought we weren't ready for that as yet. But down the road, I think those are the kinds of conversations that some clubs will want to have if that's important to them, especially in their community.
Okay. Doesn't sound like there's any more questions, but
Darcy, I just
Yes.
see one from Ian Grant. Will there be future facilitator training?
If there was a request by a number of people, this training is not cheap. It is expensive. We had a district grant, as you know, Ian. We had a district grant this year for the training for it. The conference, of course, paid for its own area. That was nothing to do with the district grant. But that training aspect of it, if we could sort of go back and approach MBBI. I know they're interested in doing it. They have talked about doing a third training session, and I think they would be very open to doing that because they weren't able to include the Nisga'a in as much as they wanted because of COVID. And the Nisga'a had a lot of problems with COVID and a number of deaths in their community, and they weren't ready to take this on at this time. So I know that Martin from Mediates Beyond Borders has suggested that if there was an interest in having a third training session down the road, that they would be open to that, to discussing that with us. So nothing planned immediately, but it's a possibility.
Great. Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Yeah, I did partake in the training just so that I knew, because of course Dave built this up for a couple of years now, so he was well aware of what was going on. So I needed to try to kind of catch up. I haven't been able to start my 21 hours of service yet, though, so I'll have to try and play catch up at a later date. But it's pretty exciting, and we already have other districts looking at what we're doing in District 5040 going, that looks really interesting. So Liz, you have your hand up.
Yes, I just wanted to say at the AG meeting last night, we were talking about strat planning, and the notion came up that there's all these wonderful MBBI trained facilitators floating around, that they could possibly assist also in the facilitation training portion of being involved in strategic planning. So thanks to John and all of his leadership, we've gained the skills to facilitate. So let's use that for other opportunities within the district as well. So I think it's really important to keep the facilitator engaged in whatever way we can, strat planning or peace facilitation or whatever. So it's important to keep us all in that mode. Thank you.
That's really a good point. Thank you, Liz, for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you. Okay, well, that's great. So now we move on to a not more important, but a pretty important topic, and that is on the CRCs, or the criminal record checks. John Barry has been working on a way of reporting for the clubs to help the clubs track it a little bit better as to who has the CRCs. I think the most important thing to always keep in mind is, we need to do these. Clubs need to make sure that their members have the criminal record checks, because without them, you cannot be working with children. You cannot be working with vulnerable adults, because it just, in the world we live in, it just opens you up to just way too much liability. And it's not a difficult thing to do. So I'm going to pass it over to John Barry now, and he will bring us up to date on this little subject. Thanks, John.
Okay, thanks very much, Darcy. As everybody knows, I think we do just a ton with Rotary in terms of what we do through service to youth. And it's a tremendous part of virtually every club and what we do with Rotary generally and internationally. But one of the things that is a really sacred responsibility that comes with that is paying attention to the protection of the youth we work with. So it's youth protection that this is really all about. And the CRCs, the criminal record checks, are a fundamental building block of that. They're only one part of it. We still have lots of other things we have to worry about in terms of making sure that we're protecting our youth. This doesn't do the complete job, but it is a basic thing that we need to do and we must do. And we need to be able to demonstrate to the world and to Rotary International that we are taking it seriously and we are doing this towards the protection of youth. And at the moment, we don't really have the ability to demonstrate that we're doing it. And some clubs are doing better than others. And what we don't know at district is what members must have a CRC. We do have recorded on Club Runner what people have, and Ron Davis, as many of you know, does a wonderful job as our district protection officer. Having said that, we are needing to get a little bit more information from clubs, and so we've designed what we hope is a simple report. We will expect to be doing it periodically, either biannually or either semi-annually or annually. But we are putting it out there now and asking people to fill it in by the end of June. And we'll take a look at how that works. And if there are any issues with it, we may have to tweak it a little bit. But we will need to keep doing this. We will need to keep understanding who's got CRCs, particularly among the population that must have them. It'd be great if every Rotarian got one. That's not absolutely required, but what is absolutely required, as Darcy said, is anybody that's working with youth or vulnerable adults must have one. We can't go on the basis of, well, gee, it's Rotary, so everything's good and it's fine and nobody do anything wrong with Rotary, so we don't have to worry about it. That world is past. We have to be able to show that we have CRCs. So in that vein, we put out the note that says, okay, we want to know who needs the CRC and what their status is, and we want the clubs to sign off that they're doing that. And that will allow us as district to sign off. And so for things like youth exchange, we can certify that we're meeting the requirements. So I'll stop there and ask if there are any questions.
Lauren has his hand up.
Just another comment, John, and that is, the district takes the responsibility of youth programs, and we can't do it without your support, but we can be audited at any point in time. And when you're being audited, the regulatory compliance regime is zero tolerance. So this is why we have to be vigilant at this, and we need everybody to play this. And I realize that if some people say they do no youth programs or deal with vulnerable adults, then you need to declare that. But just about every one of our programs does. So I really do encourage us to get our CRCs done.
And Trevor has his hand up.
Yes, thank you. In Richmond, we can't get fingerprints taken at the constabulary, the RCMP office. They're not accepting visitors into their thing. We have 7 people in our club of 19, whatever we are, that have cleared.
And that is a temporary problem that exists in all sorts of places. And yes, it does hold the system up for those people that require fingerprints. Ron is just putting those on hold for the moment. We're not saying, we're not doing anything about it. The good news is that most youth programs are also on hold. So we're not doing very much in person right now. But yeah, that does, hopefully that comes off within the next month or two.
Mm-hmm. Leslie?
Oh, just lost my screen. Hold on here. Sorry about that.
We can hear you though.
Okay, go ahead. I'll just speak then. I'm having challenges with technical stuff today. I have some members in the club, wonderful people, and you've heard this 100,000 times because I used to hear it back in the day when Art was around, who really think it's insulting to have to go through a criminal record check. And like you said, Mr. Barry, that's the past, that's history, that's the way it used to be. I just can't get them moving, and they're doing great work. But, so now we have to just say you cannot go and do those jobs like filling the bags with the children and handing out food and things like that.
That's right. They can't work with children is what it boils down to.
Mm-hmm. Anybody got any suggestions other than booting those people out? I'm at the end of my term, sorry.
No, you just put him on the other jobs. There's lots of work in Rotary.
Sounds like a good topic for a peaceful conversation.
Oh, you're darn right, John. Thank you.
It does.
I like that.
I was just going to jump in because I know the frustration that Leslie has been going through this year, and it's how dare you kind of tell me I have to do this?
Yeah.
And it's not why does Rotary. The attitude is more how dare you make me do something I don't want to do. Yeah. So I'm sorry for interrupting, but I just wanted to clarify Leslie's
frustration.
Yes.
And I will say, I'd love to be as kind and as gentle as we can possibly be with all of this, and as tolerant and all the rest of those things. But there's a bottom line here in terms of protecting kids.
Exactly.
Yeah. And Frank Peabody.
Yes, I'm just wondering. It would seem to me that there's only one report that's important, and that's the one that comes out of the system and the RCC, and that our own report can't be verified, because I could put myself down as I've got a CRC on my piece of paper, but the only one that knows for sure is in the RCC system.
Actually,
so I guess you've thought that out, or?
Yes, actually, we really would like to only have one report, but actually we need the two of them. You're right. The one is needed in terms of verification. The other one is needed in terms of knowing who is the population that needs verification. And that can only come from the clubs. Because if you've got some Rotarians working with youth and some not working with youth, RCC doesn't tell you that. If you've got some volunteers working with youth on behalf of your club, RCC doesn't tell you that.
Mm-hmm. John Bathurst?
Yeah, I just wanted to add that with the reluctance of people, I doubt there is any other organization out there that deals with children that doesn't require this. We are a complete outlier when it comes to working with youth. And so, it's this isn't optional. The reputational risk is just off the meter if we're not doing it. I just really want to amplify. I know, John, in the past you've emphasized that, but I just thought I'd punch it up, because there's no other organization where you can work with children and not have one of these things.
Quite.
So is the objective to get the RCC report to say 100% of members have got a CRC?
Frank, that would be a wonderful thing to have, but that is not realistic, nor is it required, because we can have Rotarians who, for instance, simply for whatever personal reason don't want to have a CRC. And we can respect that as long as they aren't working with youth. So it really only is the people that are working with youth and vulnerable adults who must have it. And so, we're a long way from having everybody get it. We'd love to, but we've actually got well under half of the Rotarians in the district right now who have one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Matt?
I had I went out on my own and got my CRC about a month ago. I actually paid $75 for it. And now it's just that it's not what Rotary wants. I have a copy of it and stuff. I don't mind doing it again, but a CRC is a CRC, right? Are there different ones, or, I paid for mine, right? So,
well, it's not altogether the case that a CRC is a CRC. There, I don't want to take the time to get into it, but there are all sorts of different quote CRCs that one can have. They don't all have, for example, a vulnerable sector check. Rotary requires that a vulnerable sector check be part of that. The preferred route for Rotary is to use the Justice Ministry link. And that is great if everybody would do that. It is possible to also do it through a police force, but if you do, it has to meet the vulnerable sector check part of it, and it has to go direct from the police force to Ron. You can't get one yourself and forward it. If you do that, you're breaking process, and it's open to things like forgery, that kind of stuff. So that's not allowed. And it has to be an original. It can't just be a copy of one that you got from another organization. So I'm afraid those are the requirements.
Mm-hmm. Okay, Murray.
Get off mute here. I may be repeating what John just said, but my experience is that every organization you join where you're working with I'll just say the vulnerable sector, including children, requires that you do a have a CRC with that organization. My experience is that you can't transfer that between organizations. Also, just in terms of, I know there's been some discussion about people who don't want to have a criminal check. My experience is that the norm outside of Rotary is that you can't join the organization without a criminal record check, and it's just a fact of life. So I think that, I don't know if that helps Leslie out or not, but again, it's just not an option in any organization outside of Rotary that I've seen.
Yeah, and some clubs have done this. Some clubs have. I remember years ago when we interviewed for people for our club. That was part of the process. We would need you to get a CRC because we work with. We have some events and we work with youth and vulnerable adults, and that's what we do. That's part of our service. So that is definitely an approach that clubs can take with that. Chris, and then Jan, and then we'll move on.
Okay, I just wanted to change the emphasis slightly. The CRCs are absolutely a basic building block. We must have them. There must be no questions about it or anything like that. But that's only the lowest rung of the ladder. Real safeguarding of young people comes through training of our volunteers. It comes through exploring what safeguarding issues really are. It comes through doing risk assessments of the activities that we perform. It comes through telling people how to recognize when a young person might have come across something that is wrong or have been badly treated or whatever. None of this is in the CRC. And the real danger with the CRC is that we think we've done it. Once we've registered our CRC, we're home and dry. Friends, you are just starting if you've got a CRC.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thank you, Chris. Jan?
Yeah, just to reiterate, and lots of comments in the chat, lots of Rotarians have multiple criminal record checks because they're involved with hockey or sports or Pathfinders or other organizations. And even here in Paul River, Vancouver Coastal Health wanted volunteers for the COVID vaccine clinics. And even those of us who had just gotten our criminal record check for Rotary, right on the volunteer sheets on their websites, you had to get another criminal record check even to work because vulnerable, not just youth, but vulnerable adults. So this is just the reality. And it opens clubs up to huge liabilities if you don't do due diligence. And as Chris said, also, especially people who are working one-on-one with children in any way, shape, or form should also be trained. So that's just, lots of
Thanks, Jan.
Lots of challenges. Thanks.
Yeah, and I don't think, I think the fact that we need to have our members have CRCs is that's the fact. I think what we really wanted to bring forward tonight was this forum that John did to help the clubs try and keep track of it yourselves, as well as then make sure that information gets to the district. One of the things that I found in our club was what was recorded at the district level and what was recorded at the club were very, very different numbers. And that's what we're trying to bridge here. We're trying to get it so that you have a mechanism and a tool that you can report from the club level to the district. And if your club members are saying, I have a CRC, and we don't have it recorded at the district, then we have that opportunity then to clear that up. And so I think, John, that's more the essence of what we wanted to bring tonight. And I believe that was put in the chat, those forms.
Yes, absolutely. And I just would add a little bit, particularly following up on what Chris is saying, that this is just the basic building block. The thing is that the youth committee has been really working hard with the year without too much activity. They've really been taking a look at the things that might be missing from our programming generally and what we need to do. And they've sent some material out already the clubs have received about youth protection generally and about the kind of good practices. They're also working on the training world. And there are some challenges there and, because they're trying to build on the learning side, but the thing is they're working at that. And one small detail, so that's the big picture thing. One small detail that I'd add when people are talking about the multiple checks, it would be nice if everybody was on the same system, and that would make it very easy when you have different organizations. If organizations are on the Justice Ministry site, there is a provision, in fact, for people to be able to use the same checks and share it with other organizations, but it only works if the other organization is using that system and is requiring the vulnerable sector check. So bottom line is we just have to get the vulnerable sector check one way or the other.
Right, correct. Thank you, John. Greg, or actually, sorry, David, I think your background is yellow and the hand is yellow and I couldn't see it.
Oh, no, yeah, no, it's all good. I posted my question in the chat. Wasn't sure if I'd get a chance to be heard, but I'm just wondering if anybody knows if there's a sort of a movement to, and I think John actually just touched on it, about having, kind of a blanket CRC. So for example, David Stein, he's good for the next 2 years, and then I can give that to the hockey club, the soccer club, my daughter's gymnastics club, and all these clubs that I'm involved with, because I'm one of those guys who, for some reason, there's a naughty person with the same birthday or similar name, so I get fingerprinted every single time I have to go. So, and I feel bad wasting the the police officers' time. They can be out there busting some bad guys instead of fingerprinting some poor chump like me, taking up half an hour of their day. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I don't think that system is in place yet. But like John said, there is provision there for you to copy it to some organizations, but not everybody's linked together yet.
Yeah. All right, thanks.
Yeah. Okay, Greg?
Yeah, John, I received a form today for the CRC record for the club. The copy I had was a PDF format, and so I can't fill it in. Do you have a Word? Huh?
Keith can answer that, I think, because I thought he sent it out both ways.
I did. I sent both forms in a PDF and in a Word format. They're also posted in the chat tonight. If you wish to download them from the chat, you can do as well. So both the PDF versions and the Word versions are in the chat as well tonight.
Perfect. Okay, my second question is, John, there is a link that we can click on to do the CRC from our computer. Can you send us that as well, please?
Okay, that's already come out from Linda Roca, but we'll send it again.
Thank you very much.
And I believe it's on the district website as well.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Great. Okay, so very important subject, and thank you very much, John, for all the work that you put into this and working with Ron on this. Again, we can't stress enough the importance of it to your clubs and to the district, because unfortunately you won't be able to partake in the district youth programs unless you can sufficiently show that you have the people that are in your club doing the work have CRCs. It's pretty black and white when it comes to that. So we knew it was important, so we wanted to bring it up tonight. And I guess, John, you get to come in again and on this next topic, and this is the update on the equalization of the cost of pets.
Okay, thanks, Darcy. Hopefully this one's a little easier. The cost of pets is something that, and we touched on this at the AGM session, so I'll try and be be briefer here. But basically, the cost of pets is a challenge for clubs who have to pay for the registration and the travel to get to pets when we're doing it in person. And the hope is very much that we'll be doing it in person again in February, although it may be a hybrid approach. But we're very much hoping to do as much as we can in person in February. The discussion around the cost of pets was based on covering the cost of the in-person, and we started on this conversation before COVID hit, and so we're picking it up. And where we've settled in terms of where your leadership team would like to go is that we think that it's appropriate for the district to be paying for the registration cost for the presidents-elect to go to pets. And still leave with the clubs the cost of getting their presidents-elect to pets. And for this coming year, we are looking at the possibility of simply paying that from district without, basically from surplus that has built up at district. So that we think we can handle it. If we can't, it would take a special general meeting to sort out the costing for this coming year, but we think we can do that on the basis of money that's in reserve. We don't know exactly what we'll need, however, because the pets for 2022 is still being worked out under the capable leadership of Darcy Long, who is the pets operating committee chair. And so when we know, we'll figure out exactly what we need money-wise. But going forward, we would expect that if we're taking this approach, of course, we can only handle the costing for 1 year out of reserves. We will have to look to clubs to pay it through an increase in the district dues. And so what will happen if it goes down this road, and this would be subject to being passed at an AGM or a special general meeting, but what we would be looking at is charging an additional per member fee to pay for the registration fees at pets. And that per member fee, which would apply to every member Rotarian, would be something in the order of $30. And again, depending on how the costs shake out and how many members we have. And for an average club, though, it would be offset by not having to pay for the cost of registering their president-elect at pets. So it would be a zero-sum game for the average club. Larger clubs would end up paying a bit more, and smaller clubs will end up paying less. And it's the smaller clubs that we're particularly concerned about with the cost, and even more so the smaller clubs that have a higher travel cost. And so we think it's fairer to basically share the cost of pets on a per Rotarian as distinct from a per club basis for the registration fees. So that's the direction that we're planning.
So there was one question in the chat, which I did send an answer out to, and that was clarifying what portion might be covered by the district for this coming year's pets. And it would be the registration costs, which is the hotel, meals, and training. So just not the travel to and from Seattle. And of course, this takes place in Seattle, just across from the international airport. So if someone is needing to fly in, they just basically go across the street to the hotel. And we also we encourage carpooling with your AGs, and then you can pick their brain on the way down and get to know your fellow PEs, which unfortunately this last year, the PEs didn't get that experience, but hopefully moving forward, when you're president the second time, no. Okay, so are there any other questions on that? And just so everyone is aware too, this has been a subject that's come up year in, year out for a long time. So I think it's another gift from COVID. There are silver linings, and this has created a surplus that's enabled us to maybe take this step. And we have a note in the chat saying that it's a very positive move, and I agree. I think it's great. I think it's more one of our four-way tests, beneficial to all concerned and fair to all concerned when we're sharing that cost amongst all of us as Rotarians, and therefore we're helping to build those smaller clubs and keep everybody moving forward and building on Rotary. So, okay, if you have any other questions on this, please don't, reach out to any of the governor team. John Barry is kind of heading this up, but anyone can, bring your questions forward, and it's going to be hopefully a hot topic or an important topic coming up in the next few months. And pets we have a meeting in July, so hopefully we'll get some decisions made, although probably not final, because we still need that border open before we can really plan too much, before we book our hotel nights. Okay, so moving on to citations. Sorry,
Darcy. There's one question in the chat from a fellow clubmate of yours. Would like to know whether it's possible to attend pets in another region of Canada rather than having to cross the border.
Yes, if there's another region in Canada that is having a pets, that is something that you need to discuss with your district governor-elect, which will be John for next year. So that whichever PE, they ultimately need to give the okay on that. Likewise, if you're not able to make pets, which is a mandatory with Rotary International for you to become a club president, you need to discuss that with the district governor-elect.
Thanks, Darcy. And there are other questions coming as well, like will second and third time round presidents need to attend? Some of these things are going to be worked out still with what PETS is going to decide, because the programming for repeat presidents is definitely being looked at with Darcy's OPSCOM world, and how much is online versus how much is face-to-face and so on. I mean, the decisions just haven't been taken yet on that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And there's one that just came in too about it being too long, and that is definitely being looked at as is shortening it and making it cheaper so that it's more affordable. So for everyone. And so all those things are being looked at, and I try to keep the L&D committee and the governor team committee up to date on all these as we move forward. I mean, what's the point of having an inside track if you can't get the information faster, right? Okay. So one thing that I wanted to make sure we talked about tonight was the citations for Interact clubs. I get emails every now and then about the Interact clubs, and the clubs that sponsor Interact need to fill in the form and get that citation for your club. It's not the same as when you go in as a club and you're filling out your Rotary Club Central and you're meeting all those goals, and then you're in, you're going to get it. The Interacts are not on the online. It's up to the sponsor club to go in and make sure that they get the recognition that they should get. And I got to say, when we're talking about citations, Lauren, thank you so much for that email, that update from last night, because we have a lot of clubs that are very, very close to having a citation. And so please go in and check out your Rotary Club Central area, what you need to do. You've probably already done it. You just need to tell them you've done it. And if you're having any issues, reach out to your AG. We had an AG meeting last night, and this was topic as well. We want you to get recognized for the amazing club that you are, because I've said this for years now. I think every club in District 5040 is citation material. They just need to tell them what they're doing. You're all doing it. So we want to make sure that you get that pat in the back and that plaque to hang up on the wall. And it's just so important that you get the accolades that you deserve. Frank.
Of course, the question is, Lauren, did you get anything back from Rotary in Chicago about the invoicing problems?
Yeah, so Frank, I sent a follow-up email this morning. I have not had a response back yet on it. There are 3 clubs who have dues-related issues. I'm pretty sure those are all going to get cleaned up with the conversations that I've been having with them, but we will follow through on that. Currently today, we have 24 clubs who have met the 13 goal target and who have qualified for a Rotary citation. there are 3 clubs that supposedly have a dues payment issue in July of last year. We think there's a couple of errors made on Rotary National's behalf. And so we are following through on that, and we'll let you know as soon as we know. And there's 12 clubs who are within 3 goals. So we have a really, really successful year going on right here, despite COVID and the pandemic. We have close to 35 to 39 clubs who have completed 13 out of 25 goals on Rotary Club Central.
Yeah, I was just concerned about my clubs that have showing an invoice problem, but showing no money owing. So
yeah,
and we're likely to get all their 13 things before the end of the year.
Yeah. So I encourage you, Frank, to keep working with Lauren on that, and any other AGs. If you have any issues, make sure you reach out to either Lauren or myself so that we can make sure we are in contact with RI. We do not want a club to miss out on getting a citation because there's been a clerical or a system problem with Rotary International. So let's keep on top of that. And congratulations to all the clubs that are already getting it, and have a look at yours and make sure yours is going to get one too. You see Keith clapping, and me too. So AGM, what next? I'm not, Keith, remind me, why did we have this one in here? The AGM's done. I want to congratulate everyone. We had a quorum, and I do not have a report yet from Marianne and the team, but they did tell me that everything did pass. So congratulations to all the clubs for partaking. It's very important. And I think moving forward, the AGM will probably continue to be an online. We'll be doing it online. It just seems to make a lot more sense that way. And I think we get more participation than we do when it's held at a conference. So, if you have any feedback on that, please make sure you send it in to us so we have that. And was that about it, Keith, or am I missing something?
Nope, that's about a wrap, as they say.
Okay, that's good. So what we wanted to hear is, this needs to be information from you guys too. So we want to know what your club meetings are going to look like next year, and share some ideas with each other. Have you looked into being hybrid? Have you looked into how you're going to do that? Let's get some feedback from all the clubs and how you're handling that. Okay, Trevor.
Yeah, thank you. We are already a hybrid club. We started that even before COVID, and we're going to, and that's allowed us to have members outside of our immediate area, which has been nice. And we're going to continue that, but we're going to get together. We've made a date of July 15th, thereabouts, the middle of July, where we can get back into our clubhouse and have a limited participation if necessary. And we'll arrange that by people saying they're coming or not coming. And if they're not coming, they can still come via Zoom. So we're happy about getting back together. We've had a few events that we are together, at least 2 or 3 of us at a time. And we really miss that. But we're still pretty successful with our Zoom too.
That's great. Yeah, thanks, Trevor. And you're right. I think you were the first hybrid club in our district. Congratulations. And you have some very VIP members actually that don't live in your area. So yeah, you got to stay hybrid now. You're committed. Great. Jerry.
Yeah, we're much the same. We're hoping that we can start some level of in-person by the middle or late July. We're in touch with the Terminal City Club, which is our meeting place. There we may, in fact, be able to go beyond the 50 because we can have 2 separate rooms and they are connected electronically, although one would be the main in-person room. We're also definitely going to be hybrid, but the sense we're getting from our members is they really want to get back in person. So I think hybrid will be a convenience when people need it, but I think the main emphasis is people want to get together and get back in person. And we're actually scheduling our board meeting August the 5th in person. It'll be our first since COVID hit. We're hoping we can pull that off because I've offered to host it in our yard. So at least it'll be outside.
Okay, so we need to pray for rain then, for sure. I mean, for sunshine for sure. Yeah.
You got it. August the 5th. Okay, thanks.
Okay, thanks, Jerry. Keith?
Thank you. Yes, for those who have not been looking at hybrid meetings, there is a small team in the district now which is looking at what's involved in doing that. And so we hope to compile some information for you, which we'll distribute as soon as we have something worthwhile doing on what's involved from both a technology point of view and from a configuration point of view of the room. So just to let you know, it's something that's a work in progress as we speak.
Lindsay.
All right, I'm muting here. We are similar to the other two gentlemen who just talked as well. So we're hoping to continue what we started this year of being hybrid, of course, and then in person, going back to that, we have several members who, of course, want to do that. So in person, when we can meet again, we will have the computer set up for those who still choose to not attend in person, if they're traveling, anything else. So we will have that set up. We've also changed our meeting times. We've had to accommodate members who can't come all the time or in mornings because our club meets at 7 a.m. So we do 2 7 a.m. Wednesday morning meetings and 2 7 p.m. Wednesday meetings. So everyone can attend on whatever time works for them. And so going forward into the new year, we're going to continue with that until we get all in person. And we'll just try, I think we'll try everything, but that's our plan for next year.
Great. Sounds good. And I think it's important to make sure, especially as we ease into being able to be in person again. I know Holger said this a few times. We need to make sure that that we can accommodate everyone, that every member has an opportunity to be part of our club. And if that means being hybrid, then yeah. Luke from Gibson's.
Yeah, a couple of things that we're going to do. We're going to obviously get into the hybrid, but we really see the value of staying with Zoom, because what Zoom allows us to do is bring in speakers from all over the world, and that's one thing that we've really enjoyed, to be able to reach beyond the community. So that's one reason why we want to keep that part. The other thing is, because we're going back into in-person, we have been a Thursday dinner club, but there was some feeling that we should have a lunch to kind of see if we can attract some new members. And so our third Thursday is going to be a lunchtime meeting. And we're not going to make it so much a closed club meeting, but it'll be a meeting where it'll be Rotary's public face. So we're going to have a speaker, but we're going to open it up for the community. And one of the areas that we've now really been looking at is providing a space where the Native community can actually use the Rotary stage during that lunchtime as a speaker, and use that as a place to come and provide, a place where the community can connect with that whole community. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's good. Yeah, there's definitely been silver linings for sure, Luke. Thank you. Yeah. Dennis.
Yeah, thank you, District Governor. Just our club meets on Tuesday lunch, and we're going to continue with our only Zoom meetings for the rest of June. But on our first meeting in July, I think July 6th, I think it is, our luncheon on Tuesday is going to be it'll be a big social event, hopefully, and hopefully we'll get 30 to 40 members out at that luncheon time. We're still contemplating Peter Rolfe can maybe add to this if we're going to do some hybrid. It's lots of work, in the hotel. We'll have to see if they've improved some of their internet services and stuff too. So anyway, that's a little update from Ladner.
Great. Thanks, Dennis. Frank?
This would be a good time to take a look at your club to see if it wants to meet on Saturdays, because I don't believe we have any club in the district that meets on a Saturday. And new members that are on the potential new members list, I've noticed often will say, put down Saturday as one of the days they'd like. And often it's the only day that they would like to meet. So I think it's, given that the district has almost no clubs on a Saturday, it'd be something to look at if you're looking at how you're going to set up your club meetings.
Or if you're looking at putting together a satellite club or starting a new club, it could be a Saturday coffee club.
Yeah.
Artist.
Thanks. I just wanted to let Frank know
Would
that
love to have a drink of something.
that recently the Rotary Club of Lionsgate has started one of their meetings a month on Saturday morning, Frank, and they find that it appeals to a younger age group. So it's been a nice sort of addition to the mix of meetings.
Yeah, that's what I noticed. It was young people that were looking for Saturday meetings.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Good. Okay. So we had a few other topics that we were going to bring up tonight, but it is getting on, and I know as much as we love to spend time together, I don't imagine you all want to spend the rest of the evening together. So maybe what we should do is we're going to put them up here so you can see them. We wanted to get some feedback on what we didn't tell you, feedback on what we should now be sharing with the PEs. And then any other insights from your unique year. So let's run it to 8:30. Let's take the rest of the time to kind of open it up for Q&A and get some feedback, or if you have any questions. Jen, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, because somebody put in a question right at the very beginning, and I promised her I would bring it up. It was when you were discussing the district conference. Karen Harrison wants to know, will there be a post-conference evaluation going out to the people who attended?
Oh, I don't know. I will ask Blake that. That's a great question, Karen, and because I know we've done that in the past, and it would probably be very interesting to do that since it was a virtual live event. I think, yeah, okay, evaluation. Thank you for bringing that up.
I've done that in the past for past conferences, but not for last year because we didn't have it, and it wasn't. At least I wasn't called on for this year yet.
Yeah, no, I haven't honestly heard any.
Yeah, Murray's trying to, yeah. And the other thing is, make sure if we run out of time, if you have questions, put them in the chat box, because we will be looking at this later and we will get the answers back to you. So if we run out of time, put your questions in the chat box. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Jan. So Murray.
I can say definitively that a survey for this year's conference is being worked on. And Peter, probably your email box will fill up shortly on that.
Excellent. Thank you, Murray. So there you have it. If you attended the conference, please keep all those memories fresh in your mind to fill out that evaluation, because they really are useful, especially if anything happens that we need to repeat ourselves, right, Lauren? You're going to want the feedback. So does
no negative comments, just hugs. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyone else want to share with us, how your year was, what you want to pass on to the PE or not? And while we're waiting then for people to come up with some questions and stuff, I would like to take this opportunity to really thank Keith as district trainer, who I've been able to work with quite closely here the last few months, helping put all this stuff together. And, Keith has had the best of both worlds. He actually attended a live PETS, and then he got to do all this online stuff too. So he's a unique trainer that way, where he's seen both sides of it, in person and online. And all the other district leaders that helped us bring the year to a close. It's been a exceptionally different year on so many fronts. But most importantly, I want to thank all of the presidents, because, Rotary is still an organization of Rotary clubs, and the work gets done at the club level. And it's the presidents and the club members, with the president's leadership, that gets the work done. So I really, really want to thank all of you for stepping up into the position. And I can assure all the president-elects that this time next year, Lauren is going to be saying the same thing to you. You know, we've had a great year. We've had so many challenges. As presidents, you have had to lead your club through virtual meetings all year, fundraising, how you can do your projects with COVID protocol and all the rest of it. So not only have you stepped up to lead your club, but you have led them through some pretty bizarre times. So I really want to thank everybody for that and congratulate you all on an amazing year. Yeah, not only Haps, I'm going to put a little heart out there for everyone too. Oh, look at that. Greg saved his paddle from the conference. Excellent. That's great. So I'm hoping that the forum was of use and that it was beneficial. Get some information out. I think, Lauren, you are planning on having some. Maybe you might want to come on and set a date. We've got some PEs here.
Yeah, we're just putting calendars together and trying to put in where I'm going to be in the next couple of months here. But we definitely are hoping to hold quarterly presidential forums. We don't want to hold them too frequently because your assistant governors have a bigger role with you to kind of keep you engaged and collaborating. We have a couple follow-ups from PostPets on projects and fundraising ideas that came through the chats. We haven't forgot that. We will likely have a couple of meetings actually structured with your foundation chairs and yourselves, and also your membership chairs and yourselves. We really do want to make it more of a circular conversation piece, but being specialized in the membership, the public relations image, and the foundation. They're all interrelated, and we really are going to try to make an effort to see how we can share some of those ideas and concepts. When we saw the projects list that you put together on the chats in the breakout sessions that we had at PostPets, it was a wow factor. There was a list of probably 30 projects that are all worthy of being funded, and together we may be able to do that. So we're going to put a couple of things together. Probably going to probably give you the summer off somewhat, and probably get back at it in September.
Great. Okay. So Keith, any parting words?
I will just echo what was said before about we asked you for any comments, any feedback, anything else that you didn't get a chance to do tonight. Please, if you stick it in the chat, I'll make sure I get a copy of it. And we'll make sure we answer any questions or take any comments you have and pass them on to others as well. Or you can send me an email or send Jan an email if you want to bring this up with the learning and development team as well. So please make sure you share whatever and anything you have that will be beneficial both to yourselves and to your successors. That will be very important. Thank you.
Great.
Darcy, one thing, just to let you know, I know there's already one being scheduled, but if you have any new Rotarians, we have the remarkable team of Andrea and Kelly Zamet and Bill Hellier, who are putting on a Rotaries Basics 101 course. And they're going to be providing that virtually training. It's about an hour and a half long, 3 times a year. So as you get new members, please encourage them to come out and get the basics. It will help them. We'll hope to keep them longer.
That is fantastic, Lauren. And, you know, as part of PETS, both Andrea and Kelly were facilitators at PETS and very highly regarded facilitators. So that is amazing that we have them doing that. So that's kind of, for those of you who know the RLI and wish that was up and running again, but that's such a in-person type of a system that is, this is definitely going to take the place of that for the time being as an online thing. So yeah, take advantage of that. And because I think, and it was mentioned, I think that Luke said it, you know, where the Zoom allows us to bring speakers in from all over the world. And President-elect Shekhar and Valerie, you know, they've all come to clubs in our district at their lunch meetings or their dinner meetings or their breakfast meetings. And that's amazing for our members to be able to have that exposure to the internationality of Rotary coming right into their meeting. And I know that the Tawasin Club quite often has their sister club in India join them. And it just makes for such an amazing meeting. So I encourage you, again, that's been one of the silver linings, and we need to keep finding those because they're there for us. So I don't think there's anything else to cover off on tonight. What's Jan saying? Bill Hellier just sent out an email about, okay, I'm not quite sure if that's anything. We will definitely send some notes out, right, Jan?
I was just answering. Elizabeth said, where's the schedule for the Rotary Basics? And I know I just saw an email, so I just thought I'd put it in there. If you didn't get the email from Bill Hellier about this Rotary Basics training, send me it and I'll forward Bill's or get Bill to send it out.
Great.
So,
and I haven't seen a lot of these emails, but it was pointed out to me that my email may not be working. So if you've reached out to me and I haven't answered you, can you please contact me again? Because I think that maybe my email might be not working correctly. So, but it is darcyrotary@outlook.com. Please don't use my Gmail one. So I think that's a wrap, everyone. Again, congratulations on a stellar year, and thank you so much for your leadership. And Lauren, you've got a great team ready and waiting, just chomping at the bit for July 1 to get going. We still have a few weeks to go, so please make sure that you get your goals into Rotary Club Central, get those citations for your club so that you can share together and celebrate together what an amazing club you are and what you do in the world. I think that's a wrap.